Give us a lay of the land. You're at the course right now. You mid-round, pre-round? What's going on?
I'm on the 12th hole right now at the little snack shack, so had a couple minutes to kill. Not too many guys.
Where are you playing, Jans? You at the Grove?
I'm at the Grove, yep.
Oh, Lord. Collar is optional, too. You can do whatever you want around there, hey?
Yeah, I don't even have shorts on.
Good for you. Good for you. Well, we won't take much time. I know you don't want to hold the tee box up, but big game here tonight against the Leafs and the Panthers here. What's your take on how that Atlantic is shaping up right now?
It's a gauntlet, I'll tell you that. It's a little different from when I came to Florida and how the Atlantic was shaping up. But, yeah, absolute gauntlet right now. No easy games. I think tonight's going to be one of those games where you see the playoff implications kind of ramp up. Guys going all out. I believe the Panthers were at the Hall of Fame with the rings and everything yesterday, so they're going to be ready to go and excited for this one tonight.
So in terms of the playoffs, and again, it's a bit of a bloodbath right now when it comes to the Atlantic Division. You got the Leafs, you got the Panthers, the Lightning. Hypothetically, the Leafs and the Panthers get together for a best of 7. What do you think Toronto would need to do? Do you think they're capable of beating the Panthers in a best of 7?
I tell you, I think that's why they made it 7 games. So, because I think a series like that will go all 7. The way Toronto's played this year, it honestly looks like every team, especially in the East, kind of is gearing up to know that they're going to have to face Florida at some point. So I really like what Toronto did at the deadline, bringing in Carlo and Biscotti Laughton. So it's every team's kind of trying to get to where Florida is or has been the last 2 years. So I think with tonight, you're going to see, especially the new guys on both teams, showing what they can provide and show why those teams brought them in.
Yeah, you mentioned the likes of Scott Laughton. I played with him. I know you did too. Tell our fans who aren't as familiar with him what that guy brings to the table.
Just all-time guy. Off the ice, just an absolute character. I loved him in the locker room. I only played with him for a year, but one of my all-time favorite teammates, and just never has a bad day. Even though you look at him and with how ugly he is, you'd think he'd be having a lot of bad days, but he never brings it to the rink. He's always in a good mood, treats everyone unbelievable. Whether you're the Zamboni driver or the GM, he treats you the same. So just a class act all around. And then on the ice, he's just one of those guys that brings it every single night. I think a lot of his career, he's kind of got labeled as a third, fourth liner, but if you see him in practice, the amount of skill that he has, his knowledge of the game, you'd think he was a first liner. So I think he's a perfect guy to bring in. He can go up and down your lineup, playing key situations, and like we know how good he is in the locker room, how huge that is, especially in a place like Toronto where there's a lot of outside noise, and I think he's going to bring a nice calm demeanor to that locker room, especially come playoff time.
Yeah, and the best part for me is he's a guy from the area who wanted to be home. I just loved his comments too about his dad being able to drive to his games. I love guys who want to be here and want to play for their hometown team, right?
100%, and especially there, when you grow up there, you know what comes with playing for the Leafs. The pressure that it has behind it, but you also know that the good parts that come behind it. How well they're going to treat you. That everyone knows that they're a first-class organization. They do everything right, and I think for him, he's not a guy, especially later on in your career, where he's not probably afraid to come in there and be a guy, on the Leafs. Where maybe in the beginning of his career, I think with anyone, if you start with a team that you're from, especially in a big market, would probably be tough. But I think he's at that perfect age where he's figured out the league. He knows what he's got to do every night to get ready for games, and I don't think this will hurt him at all.
Mm-hmm. Jens, what's your take on the whole Rantanen and Marner saga that kind of went down at the end of the trade deadline there?
Whew. I'll tell you what, for being in the business like we are, it was great for content and for conversation pieces, but if I'm the Carolina Hurricanes, I'd probably be a little sour if I'm a fan of their team. But honestly, I think he did the right thing by telling them he didn't want to be back there. He could have just, looked at that team in Carolina and figured he had a chance to win it this year and just stay there and then leave them with nothing. So I think he did a good job of telling them that he wanted out, and they were able to get some pieces back for him. But it was definitely it honestly felt like a little bit more of the NBA than it did the NHL.
I love that, man. We need more of that in this league. Speaking of which, I thought it was kind of cool to hear and find out after the fact that the Leafs actually went to Mitch Marner, which I thought was a giant bluff. He's not waving, but do you think Marner re-signs in Toronto here?
Man, I don't know Mitch at all. I know he's from there, and he's one of those guys that he's handled that pressure of that city, and he's been on both sides of the good sides of the media and the bad sides. He's taken some heat, but he's also gotten a lot of love. So I think for him, it's just kind of one of those things, whether it's wearing on him a lot, where if you're playing in your hometown, you got to deal with a lot of people all the time. So he could want a fresh start. I don't want to speak for him, but it also could be one of those things too. If he was 50-50 on whether he wanted to come back, and then he hears, the GM calls him and asks him if he'll waive his no trade, then could be where he's like, okay, well, this summer I'm out of here. But I don't know. You never blame a guy for wanting to test the free agency and try to see what else is out there.
Jens, you've worked with Craig Berube on the TNT panel a little bit. Obviously, they brought him in to try to change the genetic makeup of this team, specifically in the playoffs. What have you seen from Chief getting his hands on the Maple Leafs this year?
I think you just see a consistency where, I think in years past you'd see 4 or 5 games where they're playing unbelievable. You think they're the best team in the league, and then they have a 4 or 5 game stretch where, they're playing, pond hockey per se. But, I just really feel like their game has been in a good place, kind of steady all year, where, they don't have the, the big ebbs and flows that they've had in the past. And, I think with Chief, probably his way of coaching has been a little different of the coaches in the past there. And I think the guys in there too also know that, how tough he is, what he did as a player, and then obviously what he did as a coach too. And, they really respect him.
What's your read on Austin Matthews? We've been going back and forth. A lot of people think he's injured, hasn't been as crisp of a game, missing a lot of nets, but what's been your read on his play so far this season?
Yeah, those guys are tough. I mean, because when those top echelon guys, they don't score for 2 or 3 games, you're like, oh my God, is something wrong with him? What's going on? Is he hurt? I think everyone in the league right now is probably banged up a little bit. So yes, I'm sure he's hurting with something that it's game 65 of it, whatever it is, and it's everyone has their bumps and bruises, but. He's such a gamer and such a good player, and I don't think there's anything to worry about where you have to worry about his where he's at come playoff time.
Jens, I can't thank you enough for your time, and get back to the course, okay?
All right, boys. Thanks for having me.
Enjoy your round. Thanks, man.
Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.